It's Saturday, June 10th. And I need to get a bigger notebook for my notes because you're going to hear me flipping pages. And I'm wearing this headset, my headset, in hopes of better sound quality. But still just a cheap headset, but whatever. There's been a fight in the United States for months over health care. Congress passed a thing that was dead in the water as soon as it got to the Senate, and now the Senate is on the verge of collapsing on this particular sort of legislation. And it's the Republicans inside their own party that are sort of self-defeating, you know? And the biggest problem is they have to vote soon because they're using budgetary measures to pass whatever it is they're trying to pass, and the fiscal year ends in September, I believe. So they have to vote soon. There's a lot of recesses, and who knows when they'll get another opportunity to vote. They're trying to create a tame bill that will appease the people of the United States, which means keeping some of the elements of Obamacare, which is alienating more extreme members of the Senate, the same way it did in the Congress, in the House of Representatives. They can't afford to lose any votes. Well, they can afford to lose a few. 2, 3 maybe. 2, I think. Doesn't matter. They can't lose many. Otherwise, that bill too is dead in the water. They have to get it right. They can't take away people's health care, especially not in one giant swath like the House bill intended to do. Well, hell, that would be one hell of a misstep. And that might spell doom in the short term for Republicans in the Senate and their influence. They lose 3 or 4 seats. They lose their simple majority, which means anything more than half. And they have to satisfy liberals, Democrats, people of that nature, because the majority of voting age adults in the United States are Democrat or liberal or something of that sort. So they have no choice but to give them some of the things they want or not take away so many of the things that are established that they like. It doesn't look like they're going to be able to do it. But who knows? The House bill went through pitfall after pitfall, and it eventually got voted on. And then there are anti-sharia law protests happening in the United States this weekend. Many of them planned by a group called Act for America. I'm not exactly sure of their background. I didn't really feel like looking into it. I've got enough notes here to work by. But the protests have already started, with counter-protesters calling them fascists, the irony of which we will come back to in a moment. But I guess I just want to make people understand that among the protesters, I'm sure there are bigots, there are racists, there are terrible people there. But my guess is that most of them, they're just scared. We've had a good thing going here in the United States for a couple of centuries. It's never been perfect, but we're continually improving. Sometimes in fits and starts, and sometimes there's long stretches of injustice and cruelty, but still we keep making headway. And people don't want to lose that. I mean, I don't blame them. There are a lot of elements of Sharia law. Not only are they backward in a worldly sense, more specifically to us, they are counter to many primary American tenets. like the freedom of speech and expression, which is another part of the irony we're coming to. When someone presents a bad or unjust argument to you, you have to hear them in order to understand how to refute them. So I say, let these people have their day. Understand their message. Because if you don't, you can't make an argument. Now back to the fascism thing and the irony of it. Talking about tenets. One of the primary tenets of fascism is to use force to silence critics of your ideology. That's what the left has been doing lately, the extreme elements of it. And they can't see the irony in calling others fascists when they're acting in fascist manner. It's ridiculous. All over the United States and a little bit in Canada. You can look at the YouTube videos, I'm sure many of you have seen them, of left-wing extremists using violence to silence ideas they don't want to hear. That is fascism. And at the same time, they're hiding behind banners of fascists get out. Well, I guess they should fucking leave, shouldn't they? It kind of hurts me to see liberals acting not so much with irony, because irony sneaks into people's lives all the time, unbeknownst to them, but acting so poorly, being such poor representatives of people like me. I'm a liberal for the most part. I do have some conservative tendencies, but I consider myself a liberal, especially when it comes to social issues. They don't represent me. And it upsets me when those people get lumped in with the rest of us, because they don't represent us. The use of violence to silence speech is just about as anti-American as you can get. And I think people of all colors and scripts should stand against them, these extreme leftist ideologues. I don't care, Republican, Democrat, liberal, conservative, independent, whatever. Stand up for your free speech. Because to lose it is to invite tyranny. Well, when taken to its logical extreme, don't give me any defiant shit, because we've had so many examples of it. The Soviet Union, Mao's China, North Korea. You take away the people's ability to argue their ideas, their perspective, their emotions, and you invite tyranny. And even being a liberal, I don't want liberal tyranny.